Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Look, folks, I don't know if how many of you took the pains to listen to the president lie last night. Well, I did it so that you didn't have to. And here is well, let me go ahead and just welcome a few folks before we get started. But we have a lot of videos, a total of quite a bit that we got to get covered here. Anyway, let's see. Michael Rudnin asked me to put this on the screen, so I'll do that. With the evolution of Atlanta, it seems like our GDP estimate for Q1 is in trouble, which kind of says we are starting to look at recession territory, people. We are starting to look at recession territory. Let me put this in the middle for a bit so that our folks on those phones can see it. We are starting to look at recession-like numbers that are approximating. It says, Egberto, one for the screen. One of the worst political lies in this country is that Republicans are better on the economy. Oh, this is, I guess I misconstrued. Better on the economy. If American people understood that if every Republican president presided over a recession, there would be more Democrats in office. Trump, of all his own, with his high blanket tariffs, we push our nation into even more recessions. Look, I've written several articles about this, that Democrats always have to come in and fix the destruction effected by Republican administration. It never fails. Reagan destroyed the economy. Bush destroyed the economy. Trump destroyed the economy. It never fails. Trump triggers trade price war. Yeah, we know about that. You can read that link that the brother has there. Let's see what else we have here. A lot of links from Trump, from Michael. I'm going to ask you guys to go ahead and read those links from Michael. I'm not going to read them real here. They're fairly long. And I have a lot of videos to play, some important videos as well. Thank you, Rudnin, for all that research. Yvette Avery Herod is in the house from Atlanta, Georgia. Michael Rudnin is in the house from Brooklyn, New York. We also have in the house Bridge MCP. From Binghamton, New York. Let's see what she has here. Is this for the screen or what? Trump sets record for longest speech without single fact. Yeah, let me just throw that on the screen real quick, just so folks can see where that article is at. Trump sets record for longest speech without a single fact. It's sad that is the choice of too many people for what they decide to look at. Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain is in the house. We also have Lee the Bearcat from Austin, Texas. And we say, did not listen, I will mute. I don't have any of his speech, so don't worry about muting. I have none of his speech on. Okay, Eric Hayes from Atascocita King with us here. Egberto, yeah, true. We can even learn. Can we break the victim cycle? What is that, Bridge? Oh, I like that one, Rudnin. People are mad. Deficit didn't shrink more and the economy didn't recover faster. People vote for Republican. Republicans crash the economy, massively increase deficit. You're here. Democrats fix economy, decrease deficits. People are mad. Deficit didn't shrink more and the economy didn't recover faster. And repeat. Oh, I didn't put it on the screen. It's okay. I'm sorry about that. There it is. There it is on the screen. All right. Okay, let's see what else we got. We got Bridge MCP. Is that one for the screen? Guys, you guys are really giving me some hell to get all this stuff on the screen. That didn't take long. Bully Coward backing down on tariffs, number 3. Update number 3. Yep. He already backed down on the on the auto tariffs. Yeah, he likes to play like he's a bully and a tough guy. Yeah, we are going to be tariff. Tariff is a beautiful thing. And then as soon as he realized, we're in trouble. What about tariffs? What is it going to do? What is it going to do? All right. Anyway, so that's where we're at. Let's see what else we get here. I am sorry to hear Sylvester Turner, who was the friend of mine, who was also the mayor of Houston and was elected to replace Sheila Jackson Lee, inadvertently or died yesterday. I don't have the full story about what happened yet, but he was pretty sick. And I thought when he ran for Sheila Jackson Lee's office, I thought he seemed rather sick then as well. But what can I say? To his daughter, my most sincere condolences. I feel sorry. That is going to be huge for Houston. That is going to be huge for Houston. All right, let's see what else we got here. All right, let's go to a quick fact check of that disaster of a speech. This is one of the most deceptive speeches I've ever heard by a president. But before I go into the deep deception, I want you to listen to Rachel Maddow, who did an initial crack of fact checking. By the way, it is a very small crack of fact checking because the entire speech was really devoid of truth. And that is verifiable, quantifiable. The speech was basically a litany of lies. But here are the first fact checks from Rachel Maddow.
For the record, the worst inflation in this country was in 1980. For the record, the economy that he was left by President Biden was not a catastrophe. It was literally the best economy in the world and was described by The Economist magazine as the envy of the world. That was the economy that was left to Donald Trump by Joe Biden. For the record, Social Security is not paying benefits in large numbers to 300-year-old people or 250-year-old people or 200-year-old people or 150-year-old people. In fact, the idea of Social Security as a bastion of massive fraud and overpayment is completely false. For the record, U.S. auto company CEOs are not psyched and delighted and so excited about President Trump's economic policies, including his tariffs. Take, for example, the CEO of Ford, Jim Farley, who said that Trump's tariff policies would, quote, blow a hole in the U.S. auto industry that, quote, we've never seen. The president flat out lied about U.S. versus European spending to support what used to be our allies in Ukraine. The U.S. has committed about $125 billion to Ukraine's defense. Europe has committed about $259 billion. The president radically misstating the character and quantity of our relative support for what used to be our ally, now appears to be only Europe's ally and no longer ours. For the record, Joe Biden did not close over 100 power plants. There were more utility-sized power plants up and running in the United States when Joe Biden left office than when he achieved office. For the record, there is no EV mandate. For the record, oil and gas production in the United States hit all-time records under President Joe Biden. For the record, even Doge has never claimed that they have saved hundreds of billions of dollars in savings. The largest items they have claimed to achieve as savings in the U.S. budget have been debunked and they've been taken down, but even they don't falsely claim hundreds of billions of dollars worth of savings. For the record, and this is disgusting, the president made a spectacle out of praising a young man who thus far survived pediatric cancer, as if the president had something to do with that. This was in the midst of him praising Doge. The Doge cuts, among other things, have cut off funding for ongoing research into pediatric cancer.
Indeed, you better believe it.
For the record, I will note that Donald Trump did admit in his remarks today explicitly that Elon Musk is the head of Doge.
Thank you.
And while that comes as no surprise to anybody who's been following the facts of this matter, that will end up in court because that is directly contrary to what the administration has overtly sworn to a federal judge about the leadership of Doge. I should also note, and this doesn't have to be for the record, I'll just note it for our own experience tonight, that at that point in the speech, when the president talked about how we will no longer be ruled by unelected bureaucrats, Democrats in the chamber pointed and laughed at Elon Musk. Unelected bureaucrat.
Now, you know what is so deceptive about this speech? We know that the president has, through Doge, has stopped cancer research in not stopped it, but froze it, cut it, all of that at once. Yet he brings a kid that has cancer, what cancer research of the past has done, help that kid live. We know that he pardoned a bunch of police killers, police attackers, feces-laden folks onto the Capitol. We know he pardoned those folks. Then he talks about law and order and loving the police and talk about solving or talk about making a crime a dead one who kills police officers and others a capital offense. But at the same time, he pardoned these criminals. He went ahead and talked about wanting peace, yet at the same time talking about taking Greenland, taking the Panama Canal. So as he is talking through one side of his mouth in this particular speech, what he has done over the 43 days that he has been president was a total difference of that. Social Security. Oh, I'm not going to charge you tax on Social Security. Guess what? Most people who get Social Security don't pay any taxes at all. It's the rich people who get Social Security that generally end up paying taxes to defer some of the other income that they defer, but because of all the other incomes that they get. So this speech was really designed to go at his weaknesses. But unless you really are not informed, it'll work. But for those who are informed, it is impossible for it to work. Let's get busy and tell the truth. Let's make America understand that this guy's a clear and present danger. This guy's an autocrat. This guy's a dictator, somebody that we, the people, will stop. Absolutely, we, the people, will stop. Alistair Waters wanted me to get this article out there. VA plans to lay off as many as 83,000 people this year. These guys are you-know-what, crazy. If they believe right now, people who are using the Veterans Affairs complain about access, complain about how fast they can get service, etc. And these clowns want to do this. As I mentioned before, the bottom line is this. They want to cripple these government programs so that they can hire the private sector to supposedly fix what government cannot fix. So what they are trying to do is destroy government and ask the public sector to come and save the government. It's another grift. The whole idea here is get a shell Social Security office, get a shell Medicare, get a shell Veterans Administration, and then bring in private sector contractors that pays their employees less, that gives them less benefits, and at the same time make profits for these corporate executives and shareholders, and they in another way of gutting the government and gutting your tax dollars and placing your money in the hands of a few, as opposed to the good salaries that we pay our government employees, the good benefits that we give them, that every private corporation should do. But you know what I say? I say we should let them gut the government and then force all these private corporations that want to come in to have to give the same healthcare benefits, the same wages, the same everything that the government gave. Guess what happens immediately? They can't provide the service because the private sector for governmental services is much less efficient than the government itself. That's a statement of fact that is quantifiable. Anybody wants to quantify it? Give me a call, because it's only the indoctrinated that believes the private sector that has additional expenses called stock, called dividends, called profits for executives, etc., can somehow be more effective than the governmental sector. It's impossible, mathematically impossible. It is just amazing what we have allowed ourselves to learn, not to learn, to allow ourselves to be screwed about. All right, let's see. Paul Fleming says a federal judge. Yep, the federal judge has told the Trump administration, you got to pay out those $2 billion in USAID contracts. All right, what else we have here? Lee Grant says Maddo's still reeling from her pay cut. I don't think so. Maddo makes so much money from many other avenues. I think she's more interested in having that work. Alistair Waters is in the house, and as well as Ray Brackens is in the house. Let me connect both of these calls. Bear with me, folks. All right, let's start with Alistair. Alistair, are you there?
Hey, I'm here.
Let me make sure that Ray Bracken is there as well. Ray, are you there as well?
Here.
Okay, good. Go ahead, Alistair.
Hey, Ray. Hey, brother. Hi, everybody. Okay, Lee,
Hello,
your comment. Trump declaring the death of woke and DEI. I'm still alive.
Yeah, there you go.
Still alive. And I'm both, because I'm a woman. So, the whole DEI, that's pretty applicable. So I can at least attempt to have a career that isn't a traditional career for women in your eyes.
Well, Alistair, I hear you, sister. Let me just tell you, we're working at it. Anyway, Ray, how are you doing, my dear brother, Brackens?
Well, as my idol, Mr. Rogers, used to say, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. If I had something to be thankful for, but what I'm not thankful for is that that crap show that last night. I didn't watch it. I partook in the state of the. I don't know if you got to see the state of our union with Reverend Barber. I watched his sermon because that's much more thoughtful about what we actually need to focus on. And of course, I did catch Bernie Sanders' rebuttal after, but I didn't watch any of that crap live because I do want to give a shout out to my representative, Representative Al Green.
Love Al.
I am one of his. Yeah, he is. Yeah, I love him. I've been in many spaces. When I get a chance to talk to him again, I need to call his office and give him a clap for that because, I hope the rest of the community is standing behind him with that move. So I definitely need to give him his flowers for that. And that's all.
I gave him his kudos today on KPFT, and what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to give him a call and see if we can get him a straight up interview. He's been pretty sick lately, but I'm going to try to get an interview with him.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, I mean, the Texas representatives that are, Texas has quietly been making the most noise, as far as Jasmine Crockett, now Al Green, I'm very, very, in condolence of former mayor and Congressman Turner, because I actually sat in the room, and had conversations with him in my community about what he planned on doing with his time in there, and he knew it wasn't going to be forever, but. Dang, it's like Sheila Jackson Lee is gone now. The person who was replacing her is gone. It's like, is that is that district cursed or something? It makes you wonder.
I was really concerned. Go ahead, Alistair.
Yeah,
I think he knew something, and that's also why when he ran against what was it, Edwards?
Mm-hmm.
Is that who he ran against?
Yeah, he did. He
didn't
put up too big. He did not put up too big of a stake, and I think the reason why is because he knew he wasn't going to be there long.
Yeah, well, he was supposed to be there 2 years because
giving him one last.
Right, I think the seat is being held for her daughter. I think. I honestly think that's what's going to happen. But look, I I don't have a lot of time, and I have some important videos that I need to play. So I want to thank both of you guys for calling. But you guys are going to enjoy these two videos that we have here. Okay.
All right, brother.
Yes,
thank you for your hard work.
Thank you, boss. All right, here we go. The first one is going to be from I want all of you to share this video. This was very important to share this video, folks. Let's go ahead and get it out there right away. Let's see. Go there, and here we go. Welcome to another edition of Politics and Right. I'm Egberto, Willies, your host. Today, we're honored once again to have Alex Lawson. Alex Lawson is the Executive Director of Social Security Works, the convening member of the Strengthened Social Security Coalition, and coalition made up of over 340 national and state organizations representing over 50 million Americans. The reason I wanted to get in touch with Alex as soon as possible is because of what we're seeing occurring in real time to Social Security via DOGE and all the other machinations being done by the current Republican Congress. Alex, it's a pleasure to have you on Politics Done Right today. How are you doing today?
Great. Thanks for having me. Love your program. Can't wait to dig into it.
Well, look, first of all, lay the script for me. First of all, when we spoke at Netroots Nation, we were hoping that we would have had a different outcome, but we were not so lucky. And for all those who thought that maybe Social Security was safe, maybe Medicaid was safe because these are programs that affect so many people, we've seen a wrecking ball take place that are using all kinds of machinations to get around it. So lay the case for me right now.
Yeah, it's a multi-pronged assault on all of us, but it's also really simple. It's literally the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, and his billionaire buddies reaching their hands into our pockets and stealing our money, our health care. On Social Security, Elon Musk's Doge effort, they've already put in place devastating cuts that the former commissioner of Social Security, so it's not me, it's the former Senate-confirmed commissioner of Social Security, said that will lead to system collapse in 30 to 90 days. That's what they've already done, and they've said they're not done yet. So these cuts are devastating, and that's not what they might do in the future. That's what they're doing right now. Your benefits are at risk. If you need to get in touch with the agency, you're not going to be able to. They want to make it just like, Facebook or one of these Silicon Valley companies where when you try to call them, you don't get a human being. You get no help at all. That's what they're doing to Social Security. It's a wrecking ball that has already crashed through the middle of the agency. Now, that's not the end, though. That's not the end. What you saw last night is the President Trump, this guy took the most brazen lies that Elon Musk has been selling, the ones that are most easy to disprove. And that's important. It's a trick of the tyrants. They want to push the biggest lie possible. There's nobody who's 200 years old getting benefits from Social Security. That's absolute garbage. It's totally and utterly false. But what he's doing is he's just trying to put out there this misinformation, this fraud idea. So just a quick fact, at 115, benefits are automatically stopped when a person hits the age of 115. There's not many people who reach that age, but there are some. And they actually have to go and prove to the agency that they're still alive to get their benefits turned back on. most of everything that Donald Trump said is actually just based on Elon Musk and his little stooges not being smart enough to talk to people who understand the system that Social Security has in place. There is a vanishingly small amount of improper payments in Social Security. It is a rounding error. And yet the inspector generals have put out report after report detailing this is actually how you fix these improper payments. Most of it has to do with having enough people working in the system that they can update the file. But there's not millions of people getting fraudulent payments. That's just not what's happening. You have a tiny amount of people who are receiving improper payments. Sometimes it's too much. Sometimes it's too little. But the idea that this system is rife with fraud, the private sector is absolutely, they would kill. They would kill to have the rates that Social Security does. It's an incredibly well-run agency that has incredibly low amounts of fraud. But I have to actually say it did, and it was, because now I don't know. They fired everyone in charge of ensuring that payments are proper, that the data is upgraded. They got rid of all of them. And now the president is out there saying there's all this fraud. He's coming for your benefits, people. He's closing your office next. They've already closed 45 offices. Yours is next. They told the GSA, which is basically the federal government's landlord, to cancel all of the government leases. That's 1,500 Social Security offices, your local office. You're not going to be able to call the 800 number right now. You should try and see how long the wait time is now, because they fired everybody. And now they're going to close your office so you can't go to the office. What's next? What's next is they're going to reach their hand directly into your pocket and take your benefits. Your check will not reach your bank account because it's going into Elon Musk's bank account instead.
You know, people thought that this was just hyperbole, but now we actually have examples of this happening. In fact, I saw one agent said, if you know what's good for you right now, if you don't have that piece of paper that they send you every year telling you how much you've worked, go ahead to the Social Security website and download your information so that you have evidence of what is occurring. But I know your main concentration is on Social Security, but I think what the administration is trying to do also is obfuscate Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare together so that it looks like one huge entitlement gone awry. Why don't you tell us a little bit of what they're trying to do there?
Yeah, so we focus on all of them because as a system, you need all the pieces of it. Medicaid is the largest provider of long-term care in this country. Medicaid serves seniors, children, people with disabilities. Over half of every person in a nursing home is there through Medicaid. You get rid of Medicaid, which is what the Republicans are proposing. They're proposing. They are like, oh, yeah, we're not doing it. We promise. It's written down $800 billion, $880 billion in the committee that oversees Medicaid. They instructed them, find $880 billion in cuts to Medicaid. That's in the reconciliation process, which is the longer term threat. And in that case, that destroys Medicaid. So you're exactly right. What they're trying to do is just paint this picture of these systems that they are, rife with fraud. There's all this waste and abuse. There is waste, fraud, and abuse in every system. That's true. And if you want to root it out, you have inspector generals who look at that specifically to minimize it. The first thing the administration did is fired all the inspector generals. That's not what you do if you want to root out waste, fraud, and abuse. That's what you do if you want to do fraud. That's what they're doing. And so what we have here is an attack on all of us so that Elon Musk and his billionaire buddies can get an enormous tax handout. They're just robbing Peter to pay Elon. to quote a great leader of today. And that it's as simple as that. So they're coming after your Social Security. Your office is closing next. I want you to know that, right? It's not happening to someone else. It's happening to you. And if you don't wake up and fight back now, it is going to get worse. So we have to raise our voices right now. And I do think that they fully misunderstand how important Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid are to the American people, and the ferocity with which the American people will fight back, because it's ours. We pay for it. We earn it. And if we let some politician in DC reach their hand in our pocket and steal it for Elon Musk, I don't think so.
You know, one of the reasons I think we're having a few problems and issues communicating with people is that while you are a truth teller and you are pointing out evidence as to what exactly is happening, too many people will just hear the president at face value say, I am going to save Social Security, or hear Johnson, the Speaker of the House, say, I am going to save these programs for you, while at the other hand trying to create under reconciliation. First of all, I better explain one thing real quickly. There are two ways to take care of this: through reconciliation or through the normal budgetary process. Reconciliation means they can do it with all Republicans, which means if Republicans decide that they are all going to team up together, there's nothing Democrats can do to stop it. However, as Alex pointed out, definitively, you still have power, because every single one of those Republican representatives, they want to be reelected. They want to be back in office. So the reality is you've got a month or two to let these guys know that you won't take it. Alex, what can they do? What can these people that are going to be affected do?
We gotta show up. So if you go to socialsecurityworks.org, you can get involved. You can join with us so that you're up to date. But we got to move it beyond the computer screen. We got to show up at your Social Security office. We'll help you organize the events. We've got dozens of these going on around the country. We need people to stand up right now. We need them to call their members of Congress, yes, but we need them to do more. But specifically on members of Congress, there's 17 frontline House Republicans who have won their districts by fewer votes than the people who will lose health care if budget reconciliation goes through, right? 17 frontline members. Take Iowa's 1st District, Representative Miller Meeks. She won by 700 votes. 700 votes. And if she gets her way, tens of thousands of her constituents will lose their health care. And we have a spreadsheet online. You can find us on social media, Social Security Works. So you have all the data, plus their phone numbers. Call them. You know, right now they're more scared of billionaire, unelected king, unelected bureaucrat, Elon Musk, than they are of their own constituents. We have to flip that. They have to be scared of their constituents. A very wise man once told me that at the end of the day, politicians really only care about one election, their own. And that's what we have to remind them of, that, you know, when they're under the spellbinding, Elon Musk created safety blanket, it might seem like they're going to get away with it. They're not going to get away with it. They're going to lose their jobs. And the thing is, and you pointed this out, the margins in the House are so narrow, they can only lose one right now. And by the time reconciliation is going, they can lose 3. There's 17 of them who are going to lose their job 100%. And they know it. That's why when they're selling this stuff, they lie, right? They go on TV and they're like, no, I'm not. There's no Medicaid cuts in there. And the problem is the corporate media is like, oh, okay. Yeah, okay. And you're like, what do you mean? Did you not get the document? It's right there. You can read it. $880 billion. So we can't trust. There's a couple things. The corporate media is, all speed ahead to make this happen. We can't trust politicians either. Politicians aren't going to save us. There's no cavalry coming, but we have to push the politicians because we're the cavalry. The bravery comes from us. It comes from everyday people standing up and saying no to this authoritarian takeover by an unelected billionaire bureaucrat. Once we show the bravery, then the politicians are going to join us. That's the order of operations. So first, we get organized, we get in the streets, we raise our voices, and we say, no, you're not going to steal our Social Security. No, you're not going to close my Social Security office. No, you're not going to take away my or my family's Medicaid and throw my loved one out of the nursing home that they need. That's where power comes from. Millions of people standing up together and saying, no, you're not going to get away with this.
A message to our MAGA brothers and sisters. In the aggregate, more of you are dependent on Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare than the population at large. Numbers are out there. And it's also important for us to understand that the billionaires, the only reason they have power is that money buys your vote. You have to decide if your vote can be paid for with dollars and lies. It is up to us, as Alex said. Alex, give me a closer.
So I know it's dark times and it feels like this is an unstoppable force that we're up against. It's eminently stoppable. These are not like superhuman. They've got all their stuff together. They're tripping over their own feet every day. Every day they're tripping over their own feet. You should read how impossible the pretzel is between the Senate and the House to get anything done. They don't agree with each other at all. In fact, in the House alone, they don't have a unified caucus. They hate themselves most of all. What we have to do is stand united and remember that there's tens of millions of us and that we have the power. These bumbling billionaire funded politicians and these unelected billionaire bureaucrats who are trying to steal our money, they're just trying to overwhelm us. So let's not get overwhelmed. Let's be methodical. Don't ever let them steal your joy either. We have to stay in this fight. It's not a sprint, nor is it a marathon. It's actually a relay race. So you do your part when you can, you take your rests when you need it, and you never, ever think that you're alone in this fight. Get organized. Stand together with your neighbors, shoulder to shoulder with our voices raised. We cannot be defeated.
Social Security Works has some help. Tell us about how we can. Welcome to another edition of Politics and Right. My name is Egberto, Willies, your host. Today, we're honored to have, once again, Maurice Mitchell. Maurice Mitchell is the National Director of the Working Families Party. He's a visionary leader in several social, racial, and economic justice movements. Maurice. Last time I spoke to you was out there at Netroots Nation 2024, and we had a whole lot of hopes then. Your thoughts? Let's get into, before we get started, what I want to discuss today. Absolutely. Let's get into your thoughts.
Well, what can I say? I have a lot of hope in the people. November's election did not go the way that we wanted it to go. However, what I've noticed is that so many people, even some people that voted for Donald Trump, are recognizing what's taking place, are recognizing the extent of the theft, the extent of the rank corruption. And I'm seeing on the ground a movement that is building that gives me hope that the people will do the duty that only the people can do in putting and checking an authoritarian. That's what I want to say. I know the past month or plus has been really disconcerting for a lot of people, has been disturbing for a lot of people, but the grassroots are ready to lead in this moment. I know sometimes it could be disheartening to look at Capitol Hill and be desirous of elected officials to show a certain type of leadership and a certain type of public courage. But I just want to remind people that, in general, politicians aren't fonts of public courage, and whenever politicians steal their back, it's often because the people and mass movements have stepped in and gotten in motion. And we're seeing that. We're seeing that all over the country, not just in quote unquote blue places, but we're seeing it in all types of communities, because people are really concerned that the wealthiest person on the planet is engaged in the most egregious theft and abuse and corruption imaginable on behalf of Donald Trump and MAGA. And so I think and know that we will stop it through our organizing.
Well, with organizing, I just wanted to say the edict that came out, I think it was today on Truth Social, where Donald Trump threatened colleges, stating any college that has illegal protests, and I don't know what illegal protests really means. But I have no idea what that means. Will lose their funding. People will be arrested, and foreigners who participate in that will be thrown out of the country. What do you think that'll do to the grassroots as far as being putting their bodies out there?
Well, this is directly from the authoritarian handbook, right? So authoritarians, far right bullies, this is what they do. They often target colleges and universities because they're places where there's a lot of free speech. There's a lot of young people with open minds, and there's a lot of intellectual discourse. They want to crush that because they want you to only toe the government line, right? So this is the process. This is part of the process. And I think it's going to actually awaken a lot of students, awaken a lot of faculty. I just saw some faculty release a statement in response to this. So I think what Donald Trump and MAGA don't recognize is that they did not win an overwhelming mandate. Right? They didn't.
Well, they didn't win 50% of the vote, not even 50%. Yeah.
No. And one of my takeaways from the election is that the reason our side didn't make it was that millions of people who knew what time it was, who understood the assignment, who knew Donald Trump was a crook, didn't show up. And that's something that we have to take seriously. And that's something in the next elections we have to remedy. We have to make sure that we have a deep and trusting relationship with everyday working people, and that not only do they understand what time it is, but they complete the assignment. And that's our job as organizers. But the reason I say that is that I want to remind people that tens and tens of millions of people did not vote for this man, voted against this man. And he won by the smallest fraction of a margin and did not win more than 50%, which means he's likely to engage in overreach. He's likely to do things that nobody voted for, nobody wanted, even some of the people that voted for him. A significant percentage of the people that voted for him are not MAGA loyalist or MAGA cult-like people. There are people who gave him a shot for all types of reasons I deeply disagree with. Many of those people are second-guessing their decision when they've handed him the ball, and instead of lowering the prices of eggs or lowering the price of basic goods or making their lives easy, he's used that power in order to attack universities, in order to fire workers or simply providing services like Head Start or aid to needy children, right? Just hardworking people who are providing services that we all depend on, or go after his enemies, right? It's been more than a month and he's done nothing. In fact, inflation has increased. The price of eggs have increased, right? So as more and more people recognize that this has been a smash and grab robbery, that's basically what it is on a historic level. A lot of people are going to get in motion. Some of the people that voted for him who aren't Trump loyalists are going to wake up to the fact that they've been played, and they're going to be angry, and they're going to join a growing opposition.
Now, interestingly, you are the leader of the national director, the leader of the Working Families Party, which is not only a grassroots organization, but also it deals with people in the working class, people in the middle class. It seems to me like this is the opportunity. Like, we know with the tariffs being passed, we know that Target haven't announced today that prices will start. The increase in prices will start within 2 days. We know that car prices, the dealerships have already said their prices will substantially be increased on cars. It seems like this is the perfect time for organizations like yours to not just wake up those who already are in the club, but those who thought or didn't think they were voting for what they're actually going to get.
Absolutely. Absolutely correct. It's all theoretical until it's visited on your house.
Right.
Right. The government bureaucrat that you don't know, their job should be eliminated. The government bureaucrat that you do know, they provide essential services to your community. Right. Or if you happen to be that government bureaucrat. Right. Mm-hmm. And so as it's visiting other people's homes, including some of the people that voted for him, absolutely, you're going to see public opinion change. It's already changing. He came in with public opinion that was low, but historically for him, it was higher than his first term. And, because people were like, he has great public opinion. I'm like, well, for him, but it's historically low for a president starting a term. And it's already dissipated. His numbers are already underwater, or in other words, there's more people who disapprove of him than approve of him. And it's going down further and further. People are not friendly to Elon Musk in general. People are not comfortable with the idea that a billionaire is just running around, having access to all of our data, cutting necessary programs. And look, I have to ask people, what do you think he's going to do with that data? Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, do you think that he's somehow going to resist a desire to take that data and feed his AI, his version of AI? Because basically data is king. Mm-hmm. And the thing that could make his version of AI, and he has one, more valuable is if he has access to the greatest data mine in history, which is the
United States government. I mean, he's using Grok. I think his AI is called Grok, if I recall correctly. And what's interesting about that is that it's not only that he has that data, but he has a clearing house that he's a financial network that he's trying to put together to rival, let's say, Stripe or any one of these other financial networks. But, going back to the MAGA folks in general are poorer, more working class, and more on Medicaid, more dependent on SNAP and all these issues. Now, I don't think they ever thought that they would stand a chance of losing this. How do we approach them to get into that domain?
Sure. This is, I have to say in advance to your audience, right? This isn't everybody's ministry, but for those of us that are willing and able organizers, we seek to approach every working person with a lot of humility and curiosity, right? Because there's an opportunity to scramble the political lines in this moment. When we know that rural communities receive more federal funding than urban communities. And we know many rural counties went to Donald Trump. We know that red states receive more federal aid than blue states. And those red states clearly went to Donald Trump. We know that there are millions and millions of poor people across race that depend on SNAP benefits, that depend on Head Start programs, that depend on Medicaid, across ideology, across party affiliation. These programs support so many people. And so when people voted for the wrecking ball that is Trump and MAGA and Project 2025 to attack the establishment and the institutions, they weren't thinking that wrecking ball will pile through their homes. So when that happens, and we're seeing it in real time, we're seeing it on social media, we're seeing it in the mainstream media, people bewildered and people feeling a sense of betrayal when they realize that Donald Trump has taken their job, has taken their benefits, are risking their livelihood. So when they're in that place, and more people are going to be in that place, we want to have a conversation with them. And we plan to. And again, there's MAGA people who are MAGA cult like MAGA people. And then there's people who voted for Donald Trump for all types of reasons, because they believed that he would lower their grocery prices, or they believed that he was going to fight for them, or they wanted to like provide a punch to the establishment, right? A lot of those folks are having second thoughts already, and many more will. And there's an opportunity, I think, to create the biggest mass movement in American history. Because at the end of the day, there are only enough billionaires on the planet to fill a medium to large size high school, a few thousand people on the planet. And this is government by, for, and of the billionaires, which leaves everybody else. So if you're not a billionaire, then you're with us, whether you like it or not. So what are we going to do? How are we going to stand up for our families, for our communities, ourselves, in order to make sure that we could defend ourselves from the billionaire giveaway? The Republican Party passed the most egregious billionaire giveaway in their recent budget bill, where they're going to cut Medicaid, cut Medicare, cut SNAP, cut every single program that so many people across party affiliation depend on. Why? So that they could provide tax cuts to the ultra wealthy. And so my question, regardless of who you voted for in November, and whether or not you identify as a Republican or Democrat, conservative or progressive, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to take it sitting down, or are you going to stand up?
I think that is an excellent point. And I think what is even as important is for these people to realize that it is okay to make a mistake. It is okay to have voted in a way that you just didn't expect. And what I try to tell on my program, and I'm so happy that you said that, there are many people who simply cannot deal with those on the right. They simply cannot deal with MAGA. But some of us must. And especially those of us who are activists, we have to bring these folks into the fold, and we have to give a whole lot of these people a place to land, because that is how you're going to open up, letting them know that they're not going to be alone. In as much as, on my programs, I point out all the time, you have made a bad vote. I have made bad votes. I have made bad decisions. Now, what are you going to do about it? So in closing, Maurice, tell me, what pitch would you make, not only to MAGA, but to all working class folks, as far as not allowing the system to break us, but actually work in harmony, work together?
Well, the thing that I'll say is that for those of you that are interested in fighting waste, fraud, and abuse, for those of you that are frustrated with government, I want people to understand that government is not the problem, right? Government of, by, and for billionaires is the problem. And so we need to make sure that we fight for a government of, by, and for the working class. Imagine.
Make sure and fight for government for, by the working class. Let me just say that each of those interviews had about a couple minutes or so more to go to them that you can find on YouTube, where I am writing the blog for them later on today and tomorrow. But that can be found on our YouTube channel. Anyhow, folks, we are coming close to the end of the program. If anybody wants to tell me anything real quickly, you can give me a call at 281-823-7747. Again, that number is 281-823-7747. If you have something to say that you want to get across to our audience real quick, you can give me a call right now. While I wait to see if anybody is going to call, I want to ask, this is the time where I do make the pitch for Politics Done Right to say, please help us stay on air. If you're watching us on Substack, please consider becoming a paid subscriber of our newsletter, Egberto Off the Record. We come out with a whole lot of blogs and articles that I think you'll find of interest, well researched, everything that we do here. So you can just go ahead on Substack and click the subscribe button, the paid, and get a paid subscription. Or you can go to politicsdoneright.com slash politicsdoneright.com slash newsletter. I got distracted from Rudden saying I have a lot of articles and stuff to read. Yeah, I've been reading them through, and I think most people have seen them. Okay, let's see. Ray has something real. Ray, you got something quick to say, my brother?
Yeah, shame on Trump for using a black kid that has cancer to push his agenda forward. That was very despicable. I know we got to go, so I just want to leave on that note.
Thank you, my brother. He knew exactly what he was doing. There are two messages there. Even though I've cut cancer treatment, I want to show that, no, it's still there. And then he wants to show, and by the way, I'm not as prejudiced as one would think. Thank you very much for calling in, Ray. You have a wonderful rest of your day.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So folks, you can support the program by going to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Please consider getting a paid version, a paid subscription that will make sure that we can continue to do the work that we need to get done to make sure that this plutocracy doesn't continue to reign in America. You can also decide to become a patron, politicsdoneright.com/patron, politicsdoneright.com/patron. For those of you who support via Patreon, I'd love for you to do that as well. One other option, you can get any one of our books, and I should have had that scrolling on the screen. We have several books, and these books, I can tell you, you'll find them enlightening, educational, learn a lot about the economy, how to talk to folks, etc. politicsdoneright.com/books. Again, that is politicsdoneright.com/books. But again, the real way to support us, one of the best ways to support us, is become paid subscribers of our newsletter. And I'll place it in here one more time before I leave. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.